Hello, Flame community. This is Jeff Kyle with the Flame Learning Channel. In the previous video, we introduced the type node and looked at the interface and new font systems. In this video, we'll be covering the basic controls within the type node. Here in the type node, starting in the Attributes tab, this upper characters section allows us to adjust size, opacity, and italics amount on a per character basis. Of course, if I select the layer in its entirety and adjust these parameters, it does adjust all of the characters, but if I double-click to enter edit mode and select just a few of the characters, I can adjust these parameters for each character individually. Beneath that, in the layer section, we have this width slider where we can control the cutoff for line breaks. If we create a new layer, the width of that layer extends indefinitely, but as soon as I adjust the width, the layer will adhere to that value going forward whenever we reach that width. Whereas the above opacity is per character, this opacity slider is per layer, and regardless of our selection, will affect the opacity of the whole layer. To the right, under spacing, we have a tracking control to adjust the spacing of all characters in a paragraph, as well as kerning to adjust the spacing on a per character basis based on our selection or cursor position. While in edit mode, we can use the Command or Control plus arrow key shortcut to adjust the tracking of all characters in increments of 1, or the Command or Control plus Shift plus arrow key shortcut to adjust in increments of 10. Similarly, we can use the Option or Alt plus arrow key shortcut to adjust the kerning of our selection or in between our cursor in increments of 1, or the Option or Alt plus Shift plus arrow key shortcut to adjust in increments of 10. Moving to the right, under the General tab, the Fill, Underline, Outline, and Case sections all operate based on our selection, either overall if we have the whole layer selected, or on a per character basis. We have color and width controls for the outline, but also controls for the edges of our outline. This Case dropdown controls the case of our characters with a variety of options. Under the Background tab, we can activate a background that affects the whole layer with controls for the color, edge rounding, scale, offset, and outline controls similar to what we saw earlier. And the final tab here is Shadow, which is another per character attribute allowing us to either affect the whole layer or specific characters based on our selection for shadow opacity, Gaussian blur, or position. Over on the right, we have a drop-down for controlling the paragraph justification across the selected layer. As a reminder, when we create a text layer using this drop-down on the left, we have the option of automatically assigning either left, center, or right justification, but we can adjust that setting after the fact here, or set it to justified. We also have this leading slider to control the space between lines, and when we have multiple paragraphs, we have this separation slider to control the space between paragraphs. Our next tab down, Axis, gives us control over the position of either our layer as a whole, the individual paragraphs within the layer, or the individual characters. If I turn on this Show Axis button, and then we look under Center, this Layer Axis dropdown allows us to automatically move our center point to the specified location, making scaling type, for example, simple and predictable. When our type is animated, we have motion blur controls over in the Node Prefs tab under Rendering and this motion blur section with some familiar controls for motion blur. The Alignment tab gives us a number of ways to position our text layers in specific areas around the image. Under Align to Safe Overlay, these 9 buttons here align our selected layer to various sides or corners for either action or title safety, depending on which option we have selected here. The nice thing about this is that no matter which safety we're using, whether it's the 16.9 broadcast safety or one of the film safety guides, these align controls will work with whichever we've selected and bring our text layer straight to the specified area on the guide. And even when we aren't explicitly using the alignment buttons, by default the Snap to Overlays button is turned on, making it so when we drag a text layer around the viewport, the layer will snap to those same 9 safety locations indicated by the gray lines in the viewport. If we hold down the Alt or Option key, we invert the status of that button. So in my case, since the button is activated, holding Alt bypasses the snap temporarily. When we have at least 2 layers selected, we're able to align our layers horizontally or vertically to the left, right, top, or bottom-most layers, or center them horizontally or vertically. When we have at least 3 layers selected, we're able to distribute those layers vertically or horizontally. In the bottom right, our Reset button has a bit more granular control than usual, giving us our main Reset Layer button that resets the entire layer, resetting all of the modified layer settings except the font. But if we use this dropdown, we have options to explicitly reset only the Attributes, Axis, or Cascade tabs modifications. When we're working with type in the timeline, here in the top right corner, we have scoping controls, which give us some powerful ways to manage multiple type layers and even multiple type nodes across a single timeline. The default, of course, is for the scoping to only affect the current layer, which is what we've seen so far. But for either the Attributes tab or the Alignment tab, we have controls to either affect all of the layers within our current type node, affect the current track, spanning any type node used in the single track our current type node is on, affect all tracks, spanning all type nodes across all tracks within the current version track the selected type node is on, and selected segments, which allows us to select specific segments in the timeline and use the effects ribbon to modify either the attributes or alignment. In order for our adjustments to span multiple sequences, we'll still need to use connected conform syncing features, but it's clear that these new scoping controls make adjusting our type across a single sequence easier than ever before. In the next and final video in this series on the new type node, we'll cover some of the more advanced animation features. If you like these videos and you're finding them helpful, please subscribe to the Flame Learning channel and click the bell to stay notified about new content. Feel free to comment any questions or suggestions below. Until next time, thanks a bunch for watching.
Bye.